been another fantastic week of football from Premier League survival, milestone goals, and absolutely no VAR drama whatsoever. We are Beyond the Whistle, and we're here to break it all down for you. I'm your host, Mike here, and with me, as always, Grace Wild.
Hello. I'm going to try and be as positive as I possibly can be today, but I am still fuming. And we will get onto it because I have a lot to say.
Yeah, we'll get there eventually. If you've not seen this before, what we do is we break down each Premier League game and we do it in fixture order from what Sky give us, starting with the it was half 12 game I think this week on a Saturday. There was no Friday night game. Just before we get into this, I want to mention that this podcast is now brought to you by GME Media. A little adventure, no, a little venture that me and Grace set up a little media company. It's still in the fan works, but if you want to go check that out, that's on TikTok. Also, while you're there, give us a follow. What do I usually say, Grace? Like, subscribe, follow, do whatever you need to do on whatever platform you're listening on. You get told by all of your favourite creators, including us. I'm making that my little own thing now. Grace, should we jump into the first game, half 12 on Saturday? Liverpool won, Chelsea won, and there was patience running thin at Anfield.
Yeah, intriguing one. I think it probably showed the state of the club quite obviously. I think if you weren't aware, I think it probably represented where their heads are at the moment. It started quite exciting, didn't it? I mean, it was 1-1 at half time. Gravenberch scored a lovely goal. And then Enzo Fernandez said, I'll do that a little bit better, and scored a free kick that I think Fofana was trying to claim, but I'm not sure he got the touch on it. It was a lovely curving free kick from Enzo Fernandez, and we all know he's got that in his back pocket. Um, and you think, oh, what a second half this is going to be. Um, both teams did score in the second half, but they were both offside. So it ended 1-1. Yeah, it was. I mean, for me, it epitomized and I wrote these notes before the game yesterday, just for this game for some reason. Um, it epitomized the issue with corners, and obviously we'll go into that later on because there was about 5 fouls per corner, and it was just ridiculous to watch. It's like watching WWE. Um, and yeah, there was obviously controversy with Rio and Gamoa coming off. Want to get your take on that?
Yeah, I've got a note on that here. It's hard to say, isn't it? I mean, I think Rio is incredible. I know we spoke about him on this podcast before. I love him. He's the only one that actually seems to run at defenders these days. Yeah, look, it's hard. I mean, you're chasing the goal, so if you want to, if you're also chasing Champions League. I mean, is it confirmed for Liverpool yet? It's not, is it?
No, I don't think so.
No, yeah. So you've got. I mean, you want to win this game, and to be honest, this is a game that I expected Liverpool to steamroll 3 or 4 nil. To be honest with you, with Chelsea's recent form, so yeah, I don't mind the substitution, but I can see why people are also annoyed.
I think it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because I liked to see him on the team sheet. I was pleased to see him there. I think he's deserved that. It's a difficult one because Rio and Gamoa, he's a talented player, and I was pleased to see him on the team sheet. He's deserved that. However, it is difficult playing for Liverpool because as an attacking player, you are often subbed off. Like you are often, there's so much talent on the bench that in a game when you need a goal, like you said, in a game when you need a goal, you're going to switch it up. So I think it's a difficult one. I think he's the golden child at the moment, and you understand it. He's very, very talented. He didn't seem to put his print on the game, dare I say it, and that's okay. I don't think he was phenomenal that game. I think he's probably had better games. And he's still learning. He's still learning, and he's going to play plenty of games for Liverpool. But I do understand the frustration. I just feel it's Liverpool. They've got the attacking ability. They're going to make those changes. Um, yeah, that's my view on it.
I just want to ask you before we moved on. 5 yellow cards for Chelsea in the second half. This is the third manager Chelsea's had this season. They're still having disciplinary issues. All right, they're not getting players sent off, but he's still not good racking up all these yellow cards. Is this now a problem with the players?
Yeah, and I think it probably has been this whole time. Just no one's taken a grip of it. I think it's one thing. It's really difficult, isn't it? Because there was quite a lot of yellow cards in West Ham's game yesterday, and I wouldn't necessarily say, oh, there's discipline issues. I think it the game called for it, and the referee was up for giving out cards. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes it's difficult, but you can't ignore consistency, can you? And I think,
Especially with Chelsea, because they were getting red cards early on in the season. They're getting like every week.
Yeah, it was terrible for a period of time. I think it's probably gotten better, but I would still be seeing that as something I don't want to take into next season.
Yeah, fair enough. Anything else you want to add on to that game?
No, I don't think so. Like you said, I think Chelsea surprised me. I thought they played actually reasonably well. Um, and yeah, I think 1-1 was probably about right in the end.
Fair enough. Brighton 3, Wolves nil. I've not really got much to say on this, to be honest with you. There was two early goals and there was one late goal, and that was about it. The thing is, it's hard to speak about sort of Wolves and Burnley to an extent as well because they're already relegated. They've not got really anything to go for, have they? So, do you want to give your little take on the goals and we'll move on to the next one?
Yeah, I mean, it was a very, very early goal for Hinchelwood's lovely header, the type of goal that I expect Hinchelwood to score. And then again, when you think of dunk on the score sheet, you do think of probably a corner that ends up being a header. Again, very well placed, 2-0 very early on. That set the tone of the afternoon. They probably took their foot off the accelerator a little bit. And then later on, it was Yankuba Minte, who I am a fan of, actually. I do enjoy watching him play football. It was a lovely, lovely turn and finish from him. And that made it 3-0 to Brighton. And I'm annoyed because my prediction was 2-0, so I was just out.
Yeah, I mean, I've literally not, like I said, I've not got anything else to add. It's just hard to speak about Wolves. They've been pretty poor all season, haven't they? Really. So fair play, Brighton, well played. And should we move on to the next one?
Yeah, just to add on to that, I think it's difficult this time of season as a whole because some teams are already on the beach. Some teams are taking their foot off the pedal, particularly with the World Cup coming up. They are going to be pulling out of tackles because they want to go to the World Cup with a nation.
100%, and that brings me on to my next game because it's Fulham nil, Bournemouth one. I think Fulham are one of them that is firmly on the beat, really, and I think Fulham are happy with the mid-table because that's where they are every year, isn't it? Really, you can sort of predict where they're going to be before the season even starts. One thing I wanted to ask though was Fulham have failed to score in their last 7 of 9 games. That's worrying.
That is worrying, and I think it probably highlights their dependence on Harry Wilson in many ways this season. That when he's potentially been off the boil, so a Fulham type situation, and that's a nervous thing because obviously he is out of contract at the end of the season and probably well, almost certainly will be moving on. So I don't know. I feel like as a Fulham fan, I'd be quite frustrated if they were on the beach because they had a period of time where we were talking about them potentially getting European football, and I feel like they've just slowly reduced their foot off the gas, and this was one of those games. Um, yeah, shall I run through the game?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's two major red cards to talk about, isn't there? Really, so dive into it.
So the first one, they were two yellow cards converted into reds after VAR had their say. Christie got a red card. It was high. It was studs up. I don't know about you. That's a red card in my book.
I was fuming because I was doing more work for GME Media this weekend. So again, Saturday fixtures, I didn't really get to see much, but I didn't get a chance to do my 3 predictions for the game week, and one of them was going to be I thought there was going to be 2 red cards this weekend. Admittedly, I didn't think they were going to be both in the same game, and I wouldn't have predicted this one. I would have gone West Ham, Arsenal, but I did have a feeling there was going to be a couple of red cards this weekend.
Interesting. Well, you could have just made that up and be telling me that now.
I could be, yeah.
Where's the evidence? No, I'm joking. I believe you. Anyway, so you're thinking, okay, maybe Bournemouth have made this one very, very difficult for themselves, but actually Fulham leveled the playing field because Wacky Manderson pretty much did a similar studs up tackle. It was terrible timing. And again, pretty textbook red card. It was 10 versus 10 again.
Yeah. Anything you want to break down the goal?
Yes, and it was one of my favourite players from this season. I've really enjoyed watching Ryan play. And it was a lovely long distance shot. I think Bournemouth are really putting themselves in a fabulous position. I didn't look at the table before this recording, but I believe they might be sat sixth.
Oh, you're good, aren't you?
You'd think I
That was
do this
a
full
dirty
time. I don't.
laugh. Oh, that's getting clipped.
Oh God, what a soundbite. Anyway, yeah, they're sat sixth, and if I believe if what is it if Villa win the Europa League, sixth place becomes a Champions League spot.
Yeah, it's something like that. I think there's a lot of certain conditions as well, isn't there? Like if Aston Villa finish fifth but also win the Europa League, it drops. It's fucking so complicated, man.
Yeah, it is. But Bournemouth have put themselves in a great position to be that complicated club. And this was another one of those games that it could have easily been sort of, they'd rode it out to a 0-0, but Bournemouth did what they needed to do, got the result, great away win. But to be fair, I think Fulham probably should have equalised towards the end of that game. So I think they probably were lucky to walk away with a 1-0 win, considering where Fulham were very, very late on. But final whistle went and it was 1-0 Bournemouth. Massive 3 points.
Quite telling, really, because I like to go through the recent forms as well of teams in the table. Fulham sits 16th, and Bournemouth actually sits second.
Wow. Wow.
One question before we move on. I don't think we spoke about it yet. Iraola has obviously announced that he's leaving Bournemouth. Rumours of him going to Palace. Now, when I saw this is a sideward step, Grace, isn't it?
Oh my God. He's doing the fucking cha-cha slide. What's he doing?
I honestly that when I saw that and I thought that cannot be serious. Like that's baffling. Nothing against Palace whatsoever. I think Palace are a fantastic and they've got a great infrastructure. But if you're going to leave Bournemouth for a Palace, I don't see the point. You might as well stay where you are, especially when Bournemouth could be getting Champions League football. If Bournemouth do get Champions League football, could he reverse his decision?
I would like to think so. He gives me Emery vibes in many ways. He's the type of manager I'd like to see take Bournemouth into being a very competitive club. I would love to see that, and like you say, the infrastructure and all that sort of stuff, it's good at Bournemouth. Do you know what I mean? It's like in comparison to our clubs, it's good at Bournemouth. Like, I don't really understand that move. There's got to be a reason. Maybe he's just attracted to being in the capital. You just never know what it is.
The only thing I could think of at the time was if he. I mean, no one's going to. If Bournemouth do make Champions League, right? No one's going to expect anything from them. But if he absolutely tanks it and loses every Champions League game and also struggles in the league as a result of playing twice in a week, does that tarnish his reputation a little bit? Maybe he wants to give it a go in the Conference League or whatever. I don't really know his previous managerial role, so I don't know what he's done, but maybe he's sort of like future planning that and he's looking at the likes of maybe Lee Rossini, who he's thought,
Mm.
is he taking that job too early? And I don't want to make that mistake. But it's a baffling decision.
Yeah, I can understand that. If he came out and said that and said, I don't want to, you know, bite off more than I can chew, then I'd understand it. I do think it would be more suited for Bournemouth to get a Europa League spot, for example, because the truth is you want to be going into these competitions with the ability to compete. And I don't know about you, but I've watched some Champions League matches the last couple of weeks, and they are just on a whole other level. Some of the teams that are in the Champions League. So you're not going to be playing in the Champions League really with that much hope of winning it. Whereas look at Palace in the Conference League, look at Villa in the Europa League. There's so much brilliant representation in those lower European trophies from English teams. And I think Bournemouth could slot into that perfectly. So in a sense, I sort of hope they don't get Champions League because it might just be a step too far.
Haven't Bournemouth already announced who their next manager is going to be as well?
Yes, they have.
What a step that's going to be for him if they do make Champions League. I think that's going to take him by the bollocks a little bit, but there we go. Do move on to Sunderland nil, Man United nil, and I think there's going to be a running theme today. But the goalkeepers this weekend were on a different level.
Yes, Lamens was awesome. Sunderland really went for them, didn't they? In that first half, they smelt blood. I didn't expect this one to be a 0-0. I really didn't. Did you?
No, no, no.
I expected there to be goals in this one, and I'll be honest with you, I expected United to win. I think this is the type of game that, given Sunderland's form as of recent, I expected United to go there and show that little bit of quality. Um, but no, it was Sunderland who were peppering, and Lamens was excellent. Um, I mean, I just want to talk about the Bruno Fernandes elbow, to be honest.
Go for it. I've seen clips of it. I didn't get to watch it in real time, obviously, but yeah, go on, talk me through it.
This is a really, I say it's a tough one. I'd need to really break it down, which I haven't done because I was doing these notes at 11 o'clock last night after I was fucking raging the whole afternoon. So I haven't broken this one down fully. But for me, on first glance, I think that's an intentional elbow to the face. I do. That's my view of it. I don't think we I don't think we have a tolerance for that stuff in the league anymore. So I don't fully understand. I don't even know if VAR got involved. Do you know if VAR got involved?
Uh,
Because surely if VAR were involved, that's given. Surely. Is this another example of VAR not getting involved for some ungodly reason? And actually we're watching it back going, has he gotten away with that one then? I look, like I said, I'd have to break it down fully to tell you exactly how I feel about it. But from first glance, I don't think there was any natural intention there. Things happen naturally, of course they do. You know, I got headbutted by a child at school the other week. Things happen. It's one of those things where accidents happen, but for me, that looked too intentional.
so the VAR verdicts, the VAR official did review the incident, but ultimately decided not to recommend an on-field review. The reason was given that there wasn't enough violent conduct or major force to warrant a straight red.
All right, yeah, we're going to move on from that.
Yeah, fair enough. Anything else that you want to add? Look, we're going to get onto this with VAR anyway, aren't we? I mean, again, this has not been a great weekend for them. But yeah, anything else that you want to add on to that game?
No, I think, you could argue both teams again are probably on the verge of being on the beach because Man United have confirmed Champions League football, which will have 100% have been the aim this season. And Sunderland are sitting pretty sort of mid-table, not worrying about the absolute shit show at the bottom. So I don't really blame them for this not having the tempo that maybe it would have had in game week 20. Um, but yeah, I probably expected more from this game.
Yeah, Man City 3, Brentford nil, and it was a shaky first half, I thought, for a little bit. I was a bit worried that the title may be going towards Arsenal's hands. But second half, Man City come out flying, Grace.
They just know you're never safe with City, are you? Because they can have an off performance in the first half and then absolutely whoop you a new one in the second half. And it comes from moments of sort of influence, and I think Doku's goal, which was the first goal that was scored for City, was that moment of all right, let's do this type situation because Doku scored a sublime goal. It was basically a carbon copy of what he scored against Everton the other night. Um, he's just on fire at the moment. What a player he's been.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we're not going to get there yet, but let's not give. I wasn't allowed to pick a Tottenham player this week. Let's put it that way. Um, yeah, I mean,
You
first
couldn't. They're not playing till
well,
tonight.
we're not playing until tonight now. Yeah, first half, I mean, Man City had 4 shots on target, so there were still chances there. 7 shots blocked. They absolutely peppered Brentford's goal, to be fair. 68% possession as well. How many saves from four? Yeah, 4 shots and 4 saves from Brentford. So again, more keeper heroics in the first half. They just couldn't be contained in the second. Yeah, I'll get onto my player of the week later on, but yeah, another fantastic second half. And there's rumours that Erling Haaland might be rested for the game against Palace this week.
Wow. I mean, look, if I'm going to trust any manager to do rotation correctly, it's going to be Pep Guardiola. It's a big shout, but they've got the players to do that. He did score the second goal in. I wouldn't say this is classic Haaland fashion, actually. I would say it's just a classic striker's goal where they're just where they need to be. They're just in the right place, and it's nothing special. It just gets in the back of the net, and that's the important thing. And then Marmoush made it 3-0. So yeah, it like you said, it was a City in the second half that just turned up to the occasion and got the job done. And I think um, it's one of those. I think Kelleher is one of those goalkeepers that I've always enjoyed. I've always liked him a lot, and he showed that in the
He,
first half.
for me, he was the best number 2 goalkeeper in the world. He was
Ooh, that's a statement.
He was unbelievable at Liverpool. Like, there's nobody else that when your first keeper drops down, you think he is solid for us. I was like, you get a bit worried, don't you, when you hear rumours of your second goalkeeper coming in. Kelleher for me was just like, I've got no worries. I think he's learnt off Alisson. He can do exactly what Alisson wants to do. Alisson's obviously the better goalkeeper. That's why he's number one. But just having him as number two was just, you felt solid.
Yeah, and he was one of my when they said about him leaving, he was one of my picks going into the summer that I thought we have to get ahead of that. We have to try and get because I knew we were in the market for a new goalkeeper. Brentford just swooped him up. They were decisive. They knew what they wanted, and good God, have they done well with that decision making in terms of their transfers this season? Because I think their success and a lot of success, a lot of credit, sorry, will go to Thiago, of course, and the players that score the goals, Sharda and Ratara and those type of players. But actually, I think their success has started from the back, and I think Kelleher has been a silent sort of I don't know savior this season because he's just like you said he just knows how to do the basics properly. He very rarely makes mistakes and good God can he make a save. And I know that sounds crazy because he's a goalkeeper, that's his job, but you'd be surprised.
Oh, well, I'd be interested because I think he actually signed a week before Thomas Frank left for Tottenham. So I'd be interested to know what his thoughts were on that. But do you want some breaking news?
Go on.
Chelsea is starting to make contact with managerial candidates as they move towards appointing the club's next permanent head coach, including Iriola, Xavi Alonso, Marco Silva, and Oliver Glasner.
I like that route for Chelsea. I like that route. I think they're all decent.
I can't see it being Alonso. I
No,
think
neither can I.
Iriola we've just spoke about, which could be well, again, I mean, yeah, bottom for above Chelsea, aren't they, in the table?
They are, but I mean,
Yeah, I know
realistically,
it's still,
Chelsea is still
still
the better
yeah,
prospect.
it's not as much of a sideward step, is it really? But you'd still think if Bournemouth get Champions League, then I don't look. He's gonna leave, isn't he? So, Marco Silva, we spoke about him loads of times, haven't we? And he probably is ready for that next step. And then obviously Oliver Glasner, I like him. I like Oliver Glasner.
I think that's a good move from Chelsea, get someone in who maybe not Xavi Alonso as being what I'm about to say. Obviously, he's an excellent candidate, but I agree. I don't see it happening. I think those three, Silva, Iriola, and Glasner, they've all proven that they can do it in the Premier League recently. We're not talking 10 years ago. We're talking this season. Marco Silva has always been one of those managers that I've admired. Glasner has done absolutely brilliant things with that Palace squad, including winning the FA Cup and they're now in the Europa Conference final. And like you said, we've just spoken about Iriola and his potential in being an excellent manager. So actually, I think they're barking up the right tree there. The problem is with Chelsea, obviously, is it's a bit of a poison chalice at the moment because managers keep failing. And will any of those three? It's a big risk. Granted, it's big reward. Don't get me wrong, it's big reward, but it is a big risk. If it doesn't go well, does that stain their permanent sort of um I don't know
I know,
resume?
I know what you're saying. According to this, the favourite is Iriola, and he's heavily liked by the higher ups at Chelsea, and he's fan favourite for the job. So we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, a little bit of breaking news for you. Shall we move on to Burnley 2, Villa 2?
Yeah, and I had a feeling this one was going to be a draw. I put that in my predictions. I said it'd be 1-1, not 2-2. But I like this new Burnley. I like this new Burnley. I think they've with older Michael Jackson in as the manager. I think they've had a little bit of a boost.
I mean, you have had a week to think of one. Have you got any Michael Jackson puns for me yet?
No, no. I will try and think of one for next week. I will try my best, I promise. But I'm terrible. I'm not as quick-witted as you are. Not a chance. Uh,
Uh,
anyway,
yeah, go on. Talk. So I just had a complete mind blank then. I think this was a little bit of Europa League hangover from Villa, right?
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I think they are who they playing in the final. Is it Freiburg?
Oh, do you know what? I actually don't know. I think I was so focused on the Nottingham Forest Villa game. I don't know who they're playing. You probably are right
I
though.
think it's Freiburg. I think.
Oh, yeah. Yes, you are right. And big congratulations to Villa, obviously turning around that 1-0 deficit in the. So, I mean, not just turning it around, they steamrolled Forest in the end. The atmosphere at Villa Park was incredible. But yeah, that's. I think they'll be heavily favourites to win that as well.
Yeah, and I think should it this is one of those difficult decisions in football because you want to naturally get a Champions League spot. Of course you do just for that security, but obviously lifting a trophy, being Europa League champions, that's huge. And I sort of do understand the emphasis being on that.
Ah,
This was, oh,
sorry.
go on.
One thing I wanted to ask you actually. There was someone put a shout out today. I'm not sure how I feel about this, but do you think Europa Conference League, instead of just being knocked down to the next place, should it be given to the first place of the championship?
Hang on, say that again.
So do you know how like with Villa winning winning the Europa League and making Champions League whatever, it goes down a place, right?
Yeah.
Basically, what they're saying is, do you think Europa Conference League should be given to the first place of the championship rather than like the eighth place of the Premier League?
Oh, I've never thought of it.
But basically,
Um,
Conference League would be given to Coventry this year.
if Palace win it.
I think that's what they were saying. I don't know if they were saying that or if they were just saying overall.
I don't think I like that. I don't think I like it because I love the championship. I really do. But I think championship teams might not thank you for that because they're making that transition into the Premier League, which is hard enough. They've got to have the squad depth to deal with the Premier League. And yes, they play more games in the championship, but the Premier League is a completely different, just look at Burnley. It is a completely different equation for them. I I don't know. I'm against that, I think. I think it's not it doesn't feel right because those competitions should be for the Premier League, if you ask me, because we're the best league in England. It sort of should stay within that. But also I'm not sure it's fair on the teams who win the championship who have got enough on their plate in many ways.
Yeah, that is exactly my thought. I thought it's too big of a step to go from Championship to Premier League. We already see that how many, okay, not this season, but how many times we've seen the three go up, come back down again. Yeah, I was thinking exactly the same as you. We've got enough to deal with building a squad to stay in the Premier League and survive up there. How many times have we also seen teams come down and then go down again? So if you then got to comprehend with Europe as well and playing twice a week, I think it's going to be too much. But I just wanted to put it out there. Someone mentioned it. I thought it was worth mention.
It's worth a discussion. I just think you as a team who don't play regular European football, you have to climatize to playing European football as well. So imagine still climatizing in your game weeks at the weekend and also having to climatize to that European football midweek. I just think it would be too much.
Absolutely. Anyway, Burnley 2, Villa 2.
Yes, so I will run you through the goals. Burnley went 1-0 up through Jaden Anthony. I like this guy. I do really like him. It was one of those right place, right time goals. I think was it parried? It might have been parried, and he just got shot from that parry. Um, Watkins then had a disallowed goal. It was offside, but it wasn't long until Barkley made it 1-1. Corner and header, great header, arguably one of my favourites of the game week. We did have a few corner header goals this weekend. Then Villa took the lead with Watkins. Oh my goodness, this was a Emi Martinez assist, I believe.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Long ball
Stunning. Love that.
brought down by Watkins.
Love that. I've always loved that. I think what a superpower that is to have your distribution as a keeper, being potentially an assist. I mean, it's just mental.
One of the best for that was Edison for Man City. He was incredible at playing long balls.
But I believe this isn't the first time Martinez has done it either, is it?
No, that's not.
So I think you've either got it or you haven't, and I think this is a goalkeeper knowing exactly what the striker wants from him, and Watkins just did the rest of it. Do you know what I mean? It was get the ball to me and I'll do the rest of it. And against a team like Burnley, and I don't mean this disrespectfully, they are the type of teams you can take advantage and get those sort of goals. Loved that goal, really nice. However, Burnley made it 2-2, and it was a lovely finish from the man I keep mentioning, which is Fleming, who I actually see getting a move away.
Yeah, I mean, he's the one.
Yeah, 100%. I really like him. I think he's got a great finish on him. And he just keeps showing it. He keeps showing it. I think, have I seen he's got like 14 goals? Or, oh, I might be wrong. I might be wrong. I think I might have read that about somebody else. I'm just, my brain is just boggled. But he's got a decent amount of goals for a team who are already relegated.
Yeah, I've not really got much else to say. I really enjoyed the game as a whole. There's some lovely goals in it, and that's just about it. Again, Burnley's already relegated. It's hard to sort of talk about it, but they put up a fight.
They did, and I think it's that playing with freedom argument again, isn't it? You know, I'm not saying they'll get a result against Arsenal. I'm not saying that, but it maybe is a different Burnley to play against now because they're not playing with the pressure of having to get the points to stay up. They're maybe enjoying their football a bit more, got a new face in as a manager, and yeah, I think they could maybe challenge Arsenal more than they would have done, say, 6 weeks ago.
Two more games, and we're almost there, Grace. Palace 2, Everton 2. I want to talk about Jean-Philippe Matete, who was brought on, scored the equaliser. Is he going to get a move away in the summer, Grace?
I can see it. I can see it. I think it'd be a nice swan song if they won the Conference League, a bit of a Rice type move where he's saying, yeah, I'll win this for you, but I am better than you. And I could see him move it. Do you think he stays in the Premier League? I think he probably goes somewhere in Europe.
I'm not sure. I mean, like he can walk into any of the teams, absolutely, but I mean, maybe not Man City. But yeah, where would he go? That's the hard part for the Premier League, I think. Anything lower than the Big Six, I think it's going to be a sideward step. So yeah, Europe might be a good shout.
I mean, you never know. If Bournemouth get Champions League football? I like Evan Ilson, but if he wants Champions League football, because to be fair, if Palace win the Conference League and get themselves Europa League, then he doesn't have that argument of, oh, but I want this. Do you know what I mean? Rice had that argument of, I deserve Champions League football. And not that he said that, but he did deserve Champions League football. He deserves that push up. And whereas Mateta, you could maybe argue that he deserves Champions League football, and someone like Bournemouth might be able to provide it. So you never know. But he's one hell of a player, isn't he?
Absolutely. Everton, can they still nick a Europa League, Europa Conference spot, or is that a bit too gone now?
I think they probably can. I think they're still in the running. They've got to keep pushing. I mean, it will really frustrate them that Mateta equalised. There's no doubt they were 2-1 up, and I think what's so annoying is I think at 2-1 up they had an excellent opportunity with Keane and Dewsbury Hall that I would have potentially put money on him scoring, and he didn't. And obviously you're either 3-1 up, and I think it was at this point you're 3-1 up, and then all of a sudden it's 2-2. It's one of those. But I need Everton to keep fighting. I need that. I need Everton to still need something by the end of the season and still be in the running for something by the last day of the season. But that's for other reasons. Beto. I want to talk about Beto as well because we can't talk about Mateta without talking about Beto, in my opinion. Not saying they're on the same level, but I think Beto has come on leaps and bounds in this season, and he has such an identity as a striker now.
Yeah, you mentioned him the other week as well, didn't you? Didn't you say about when you went to go see him with West Ham, I think, wasn't it? And you said that there was missing something without Beto being there. Was that right?
Yes,
Yeah, yeah. No, again, brilliant.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. He scored again. Really lovely striker's goal. He knows how to use his physicality, and I think he's one that will come on even more next season.
And I wanted to highlight the goalkeepers again in this game because I think both of them were fantastic. It could have been 4-4, 5-4 without them two in goal. Henderson or Pickford, which one are you having in your net?
I am going Pickford off of experience and off of the way he commands his box. I've always loved it.
I think we've spoke about this before. Do you think Pickford is at Everton for the foreseeable now?
I don't know. I don't know because yes, probably now. Oh, I don't know. Could you see him go back to Sunderland?
Big shout.
He's a Sunderland boy, isn't he? And you know, if they
I
say,
could see him
I,
finishing his career at Sunderland. I think he's still got another a move in him to again a big six club.
yeah, I probably mean that as in being, him finishing his career at Sunderland. I don't know how he's still at Everton, and I don't mean that disrespectfully to Everton. I just don't. He's England number one, and he's England number one for a reason, and he's been consistently England number one for a while, and they just don't seem to look at Pickford as being an option, and his age probably goes against him now. You know, when you think of Buffon, I think didn't he play until he was 43? So that's not necessarily a massive argument in terms of a goalkeeper, but I don't know why. I just don't know why he just hasn't had that move. Um, I don't know. I don't know. It's. I wish I could answer that question with some level of confidence, but I can't because there's just there's no titterings of anything of him moving away, and there never seems to be. Um, which always baffles me.
Nottingham won, Newcastle won. This result confirmed that Forest are now safe from the drop. So unfortunately, Grace, it is now between me and you. One of us will no longer be a Premier League club next season. Still questions over Eddie Howe, though, right?
Yeah, just gonna soak that one in very quickly. Hang on, give me a second. All right, I'm ready to go. Yeah, Eddie Howe. I've heard. I think we said about this on the podcast last week. I've heard that they want to commit to him again going into next season. Oh, yeah,
The,
you've
the
nodded
thing
your head,
is,
so yeah, we did speak about it.
we did, yeah. The thing is with this though, right? I don't want to get 4 weeks into the new season and then be sat here talking about him being sacked. If you're going to commit to him, give him till January. You know what I mean? Let him. I think we spoke about this before about. I think the financial fair play is a bit looser on Newcastle next season, so they've got a bit more to work with. I think he's the best man to get the squad where it needs to be. But yeah, I don't. If it's hard, isn't it? I don't want you to get 3, 4 weeks into the season to sack him. You might as well have done it before the season started and given a new manager the summer to work with. So if you're going to do it, I think in your head you have to think as long as there's nothing drastic like relegation threatened, I think you've got to give them till January or
And I
Christmas.
think this is the difficult thing. Well, they say Christmas, don't they? That feels like the big milestone of the season. This is the thing with that manager when you're trying to make that move to being a sort of Aston Villa figure, who they are currently. I'd say Villa are now they're now dealing with the big dogs and they're doing it fairly consistently. That could all change next season, you never know. But right now I can sit here and say they've done it fairly consistently over the last couple of years. That's where Newcastle want to be. And it's that difficult situation where do I think Eddie Howe can keep them there? I don't think so, but you almost can't sack a manager for getting you there. It's a really difficult thing. I think Emery was in a position where he was the right man for the job. You felt like if he got the reins, he was going to really do something big, and he's the right person to take them forward. Whereas I just don't know how I feel about that with Eddie Howe. I feel like, I've spoken about this before about, you know, players play for City, not just to play for City, but to play under Pep. Pep has that pull. Um, Eddie Howe doesn't have that pull, and I'm not trying to compare them in that sense. I'm just trying to show that a manager can have as much of a pull as the club can sometimes, and I think you do need a big name sometimes to, it wouldn't happen, but to bring in someone like Xavi Alonso, that's a statement, isn't it? That's saying we have intent, we're going to spend money, we're going to do what we need to do to be a thriving club. I don't think they're in that position now. Don't get me wrong, but I just think that's that they need to they're in a difficult position because I don't see Eddie Howe being the person to keep them at that top level. I think he can get them there. I just don't think he can keep them there.
Yeah, fair enough. What do you expect from Nottingham Forest next season?
Um, well, there'll be no Europe next season. It'll be interesting to see if they stick with Vitor Pereira. That's the first thing I'm intrigued about. We all
I
know
think,
how Marinakis can be.
yeah, well, that's the thing. I think they will stick with him, but yeah, you are right. He's a bit jump the gun, isn't he?
He is, and they've not been perfect under him. I think they've done enough, and I think they've relied on individual players like Morgan Gibbs White a lot. Um, I don't see that being a long-term appointment, if I'm honest with you. Um, I don't know. Marinakis is he's too unpredictable because I think if someone came along that he really fancied as the Forest manager, I think he'd drop him like a stone, to be honest with you. Because he's that type of owner. And to be honest with you, I'd break someone's finger to have that type of owner, in many ways. But Nottingham Forest are going to be an interesting one. How many players are going to leave this season? That's my question. I don't see Morgan Gibbs White there next season.
Oh, absolutely not. Well, no. I mean, they did absolutely everything to keep him from going to Tottenham, but I think someone's going to have to come in with some big money this season. But yeah. And Joe, we always say about it being a long season. I fucking Ange Postecoglou was there this season. He's sick forever ago, man. But yeah, is there anything else you want to add for this game? Do you want to talk about the goals route?
Harvey Barnes doing exactly what I want Harvey Barnes to do. The kid's got a great finish on him, no doubt. He just can put the ball in the back of the net when you need him to. He made it 1-0 for Newcastle, and then I say that I actually preferred Anderson's goal. The angle on Anderson's goal was lovely, tough, but he finished it lovely. And it was exactly what Forest needed. They needed that security of being safe, and I'm very jealous.
Yeah, I think that brings us on to West Ham nil, Arsenal 1. Not much to say about that. So, should we move on to go play of the week, Grace? Not
Come
much
on, I'm
happened.
like a firework. Let me off.
Not much happened in this game, did it? To be fair, I think it was pretty quiet. Just a nice little 1-0 penalty from Arsenal, and let's move on. Not
Yeah, not. Fucking downright not.
right. I'll
Right,
tell you
where do you
what.
want me to start?
Well, I know how much you're dying to get this off your chest, so I'm going to make you just wait a little bit longer. I'll give you my opinion on this, and then I'll let you go away.
Okay.
The I thought West Ham were actually really, really good. I thought West Ham were fantastic, to be fair. Probably deserve something from the game. That one-on-one chance where everyone's banging on about David Raya making this incredible save, it was a shit shot from the striker. Okay, I don't want to hear anything about Raya being an amazing goalkeeper. He is, not on that occasion. That he should have buried that. Now the Arsenal goal, I don't really care. That was just a standard goal for me from Arsenal.
Perfectly legal.
Yeah, oh yeah, perfectly legal. Yeah, the controversy. We've all seen it by now, I would assume. My opinion on this, right? 100% it's a foul. Absolutely is a foul. The problem is, and we spoke about this all the time, is the consistency of it. How many times have we seen VAR get involved with certain stuff and not involved with other stuff? And how many times have Arsenal done stuff like this in the box and gotten away with it? The thing is with corners now, like you said earlier, it's become like WWE. Everyone in the box is just going mental, and we said originally they need to start getting a grip on this, and they have. But Jesus Christ, it's so inconsistent. Like if this was Arsenal, I can't see this being rolled out. But that's my opinion on it. And Grace, I know you're dying to get this off your chest, so go ahead.
I have so much to say. So much to say. I'm feeling. If you saw my social media last night, you would have seen a very emotionally charged Grace, who, in all honesty, was gutted, gutted because it. Like you said, I think we deserve something from that game. You're right, Mateus Fernandez for me took too long to take that shot and should have buried it. And I probably would have said, if you'd shown me that screenshot before watching the whole game, probably would have said Fernandez scores that.
What did he try and do? Did he try and go to his left, I think, which would have been the
I,
key.
I I think he went to keeper's left. I think he attempted keeper's left because it was near post.
I
I don't
just
even remember.
don't understand what he's done wrong. For me, when you again, like you said, with that screenshot, you think to the keeper's left, there's just so much space. You just slot that home. But I mean,
Yeah,
maybe the pressure's got to him. I don't know.
maybe it has. And look, I've seen people abusing Fernandez because people do when they're emotionally charged, and I don't want to see it at all because I think that man has been half the reason why we've had some level of hope in this second half of the season. Um, okay, right. Where do I begin? I was this is me doing a you.
Wait, hang on. because I feel like you
Oh
may
God.
be a while here. So I'm just going to tuck into some chocolate and you can crack on.
Yeah, it might be.
I would have popcorn, but I forgot to bring it.
So, okay, I don't even know where to start. So obviously, Arsenal score a perfectly legal goal. There's no conversation about that. Perfectly legal, not a problem. They go 1-0 up. I felt hard done by at that point because I thought we defended really, really well. And I felt worse because Mateus Fernandez had just missed that shot. But I did have a level of confidence that we would go and try and get ourselves back into this game. And that's exactly what we did. We threw everything but the kitchen sink at it, and I did enjoy that. Um, we got ourselves a corner, and from that corner, like you said, WWE in those corners now. Um, the corner comes in, it's sort of badly dealt with, ends up at Callum Wilson's feet, and he puts the ball in the back of the net. Now, me and my family were all hugging and were going mental, and it was a genuinely beautiful moment that was ruined by a VAR check, as we're used to. Now, I'm with you. I have no problem at all that being called as a foul, because there is an argument it's a foul, if that has been what the rest of the season has perceived as a foul in the box, protecting the goalkeeper. If that was game week 1 of next season, I'd understand that because they're setting it clear that's a foul. I think the fact it's Arsenal and my video yesterday was quite anti-Arsenal, if I'm honest. I'm not Arsenal's biggest fan. The way in which they play football pisses me off. There's no doubt. I fucking hated watching yesterday. They're so stop-start. All they do is want set pieces. It is horrible football to watch.
Sorry. I think what the listeners have got to remember, we try and stay as much as neutral as we can, and we've both admitted it's a foul. But you are also listening to a podcast where the host is a Tottenham fan and a West Ham fan, so we are going to have a slightly biased opinion.
And I think I'm biased as well because it's no secret that the team I get the most abuse from, and personal abuse, I'm not talking people who constructively come at you, because I know the difference, trust me. The team I get the most abuse from is Arsenal fans, because I do think there are token Arsenal fans. I know there's Arsenal fans out there that are brilliantly knowledgeable about football and are there through the thick and thin. But I also know there's a hell of a lot that turn up and say I'm an Arsenal fan when they're doing well. And the problem is I tend to get abused by a lot of those token Arsenal fans, right? And that has not been any different in the last 24 hours. So this situation is fine. However, this was a team, or this is a team, who are in the position that they're in because of those type of goals, because they crowd the keeper. And crowding the keeper, this is their argument to me constantly, is crowding the keeper's fine, tugging on his arm isn't. I just want to take you back to Villa away. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you can't argue first game week of the season. There's so many examples of it being too far and nothing being done about it. The goal being fine. It pissed me off what Arteta said, because he came out and said, "Oh, they've done a good job there. They've made the right decision." And I'm like, that's just hypocritical. Because if it was the other way round, you would be the moaniest bastard in the world. Like, you would be. There's no doubt. We all know Arteta, and he would be, right. So that immediately annoys me. It's the consistency that is infuriating, because they have not given those so many times this season. It's unbelievable. And yes, there's probably not a direct example of an Arsenal player doing what Pablo did yesterday. There's probably not. But you can easily compare it to other situations. Of course you can. A foul is a foul at the end of the day. But look at what else is going on in that penalty box. It's not even the first foul, Matty. It's not even the first one. We always go off of the first foul. Trossard literally has a hold of Pablo before Pablo's anywhere near Raya. And that's the thing they look at. And I'm sorry, it's so convenient. It is so convenient. I'm sat here not just feeling the injustice of that decision. I'm feeling the injustice of the five other decisions in the other two game weeks previous to this that haven't gone our way. And I don't understand why. And the thing that infuriated me the most, and I knew it was going to come, I do think all they gave a shit about in the media is the title race. They don't understand what the detriment to West Ham in that situation. They don't get that. That annoys me anyway. It's all about who's going to win the title, who's just so, Gary Neville was talking about it. That VAR decision's just decided who's going to win the title. It's also decided our fate, Gary. You're not even mentioning that. Do you know what I mean? That frustrates me. But I think there's so much frustration from my point of view because I get so much of people being like, it's a foul, accept it, move on, or cry, or do all of this. It's all those token Arsenal fans that don't actually have a proper response for me. I get all of that, and there is just part of me, and you understand it this season. We've spoken about the financial crisis this could cause us. We could go down and not come back to the Premier League for 20 years. We don't know. It's not okay to just accept it because that you cannot look at that and then look at other examples this season and say there's not some level of bias or conspiracy or anything because that is not given for some teams. I don't care who you are. Look at this season. That is not given for some teams. For some teams, I bet it's not even looked at. That is just an equaliser. Do you know what I mean? And I've had loads of people say to me, you only ever come up with Arsenal examples. A, because it mainly happens to you lot because you do it the most. That's been the way you've scored a lot of goals this season. And B, even if that exact game had happened against Newcastle next week and we scored an equaliser right in the dying minutes and it had been disallowed because of that challenge just on Pope instead of Raya, we'd still be pulling up Arsenal examples because they seem to get away with it the most. That's the thing they don't understand is I get frustrated because this is not something, this is not a decision I can take lightly. You cannot be consistent with not giving them and then all of a sudden change your mind. And coincidentally, that come against the team that are potentially going to go on and win the title. I don't understand how people can't see our frustration with it. Like I genuinely, Matty, in the last 24 hours, I've had people say, I expect more from your analysis, Grace. I like your content, but I expect more from you there. That's a foul. Then listen to what I'm saying because that's not my problem. You know, oh, we'll bring in new rules next season. It's too fucking late. If we get relegated because of that, it's too late. We're in the championship. Your decision's already been made. And when you've got the likes of Joe Hart and Peter Schmeichel coming out and saying that should not have been disallowed because Arsenal are not in the position to sit there and say that should be a foul. They're just not. They wouldn't be top of the league if those goals weren't given. They are the maestros of that corner. It is just, I just feel hard done by. I just feel like every week I'm having to talk about VAR going against us. And I don't know whether it's because they want Arsenal to win the league, because they want Spurs to stay up. They can't have Spurs going down. I don't know what it is, but there has to be something because this just keeps happening. And it's like I don't really want to hear the perspective, and I'm sure you probably understand this. I don't really want to hear the perspective of an Arsenal fan at the moment. I don't really want to hear the perspective of a United fan or a City. Well, City, arguably, they were shit before the money, but okay, let's say Chelsea. I don't really want to hear your perspective right now because you've not been in my club's position. You've not been in that position where we were shit before going into this season. The first half of the season, we were awful, but we have done so well to get ourselves within even the conversation of staying up. And to have it ripped away from you like that after a 5 minute check, how is it clear and obvious if there's 5 minutes of checking and you're not even checking the fouls around it, which there's about four of them taking away the Raya incident? Raya gets two hands on it as well. That's what frustrates me as well. He gets two hands on it. It slips through his hands. You could argue what Pablo's doing is maybe putting him off. We'll never know if it did or not. But there are Arsenal situations where I've seen the keeper unable to get to the ball because of what an Arsenal player's been doing, but that's apparently not as bad. It's apparently not as bad. So therefore their goal should count. It's just one rule for one and another rule for well, not even everybody else, certain teams. Like they genuinely, I genuinely think, Matty, and tell me if I'm wrong, they made the blunder against when we played Everton with that penalty not being given because they don't give a shit about our teams. They can make that mistake. They don't care. They really don't care. And but they can't make a mistake in this game because it matters for the title race. And you just think the attention to detail, like Jared Bone said, if you're going to spend 5 minutes on it, you're going to find something. It's the attention to detail to find anything to chalk it off and all that sort of stuff. Like I get it. If it's a foul, it's a foul, but there has to be a level of consistency. That rule cannot change in game week 36. It just can't. It's not fair on everybody else. And I'm going to tell you a fact, actually, Matty, that I just can't think that it's a coincidence. You're going to be shocked by this. Arsenal have not had a single penalty given against them this season. Neither have they had any red card.
Well, I was trying to stay as quiet as I possibly could, Joe. I'm just letting you just rant on. And I know.
Sorry.
No, 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 don't apologise. I know because the listeners can't see me anymore while you're speaking, which is good. Because while you're doing that, I'm typing away, looking at all the. I am listening to you all the time. It's just I'm always fact checking stuff and about my next point. But anyway, it's no surprise, especially when I know you mentioned about Tottenham. Look, we can't have Tottenham going down and stuff. It's also not a coincidence that Tottenham haven't had a penalty all season either. I don't think. Do you know what I mean? So I think you can, whether you're a conspiracy theorist or not, I don't think there is an agenda towards certain clubs, but you have to raise an eyebrow, especially when certain
Yeah.
stats like this is coming up. Like you said, no red cards, and you're telling me there's been no red cards when, I mean, Gabriel's not always the safest player. He's a fantastic
He
defender.
headbutted Haaland the other week.
Yeah, he's a fantastic defender, but he's not always the safest player. Do you know what I mean? So it's how they've not had a red card or a penalty given against them is baffling. And like I said, Tottenham's not had a penalty for them all season. Okay, fair enough. We've not really been in the opposition box all season, but there's a lot of questions to ask. I also just want to throw it out there. I know you mentioned the time already. I think it took the official time was 4 minutes and 17 seconds, which is ridiculous, right? If you can't find, I know people say no, it's because there was a lot of stuff going on inside the box. There was a lot to check. That's still a long time. There was also
Yeah.
Chris Kavanagh, the referee for the game, viewed the incident on the pitch side monitor, and it was shown to him 17 times before he actually went on to disallow the goal.
And there you go. And another thing on Chris Kavanagh, I mean, there was a stoppage in the 87th minute. I'm pretty sure it was the 87th minute, Matty. And I don't even think Christopher Kavanagh knew why that was given.
Did you all, just to rub salt in the wound a little bit more, did you also see, and again, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, did you see Chris Kavanagh laughing with Mikel Arteta at the full-time whistle?
I did, yeah. And like I've heard this so many times. I've heard West Ham fans having to actually convince people they're not conspiracy theorists. I'm not one of those people that wears a tinfoil hat. I'm not one of those, but I can't I can't watch West Ham and not see that. Like I just can't, Arteta laughing with Cameron at the end of the game. I genuinely like I get it, Arteta's happy. I think he would be the first person to complain if that was given against him. I just think there's so much unfairness and inconsistency. And Arsenal fans, in many ways, are right. It's not their fault we're in the position we're in. It's not. But you have to see how ironic it is that the title winning goal potentially chalked off that gets them the win that they needed is a foul on the goalkeeper when that has been their MO all season for the last 18 months. That's what they've been doing. I I I, I just can't actually process how I'm feeling. I just hope I hope I've conveyed it from a non-emotional way, the impact of it, and actually, I am emotive about it. Of course I am, but not as bad as I was yesterday. Jesus Christ. I just hope I've been able to explain it from the perspective of, no, this is shit. This is bad. Like, yes, it might be a foul, but it hasn't been for the season. Those things. I mean, there's literally a photo of Saliba. Is it Saliba pushing the arm of Emi Martinez at Villa? Like, it hasn't been that way all season. It just hasn't. And you're right. We're in this position for a reason. Fine, Arsenal fans, whatever. But just fucking take a moment to understand that this isn't you bottling the title. This is actually like genuine financial distress we could go into because of those decisions. This is relegation we're talking about. You lot have never had to deal with that. You've never had to deal with the consequences of that. And great, I'm pleased for you. But please don't tell me how I should feel when decisions like that feel so unfair and could be the reason that we go down. They could be. There's no sort of if and but in it. That could be the nail in the coffin.
Just two things. This whole he had an arm across his throat. I don't think it was his actual throat. I think
It
it
was
was
his chest.
right.
Oh, I think that's bollocks. It was his chest. Like, and I've heard some West Ham fans, and I don't. I think in the modern game it is a foul, but I have heard some West Ham fans saying, when you jump, do you jump like a pencil? When you jump with your arms as well. If you're really trying to get height, you could argue it's a natural positioning. I'm not sure I'm there. I think if it's a foul, then it's a foul, but it has to have been a foul for the rest of the season. You can't conveniently change the rules, especially in a game like that where it literally, fuck the title, it decides whether we go down or not, which is a lot more detrimental. And no one ever seems to understand that. It's like, fine, I couldn't give a shit right now who's going to win the title between City and Arsenal. My club could be down the shit in 6 months. Do you know what I mean? From this decision. And it's just like, of course I'm emotional. Someone said to me, you've lost your head. Of course I have. Of course I have. That's how important it is to me. I'm not sitting here crying over spilt milk. It's the knock-on effect of all these decisions. And it's not the first time in the last 3 game weeks. That's the sixth decision that either has been ignored, has just been dismissed, or has gone against us. It's just, oh, it's so infuriating. And I will feel a bit bitter if we go down, because I think we've done well in the second half of the season to give ourselves a chance. And yeah, it's one of those that I get my most abuse from Arsenal fans. So I'm sorry if I make it too much about Arsenal when arguably it's the officials' fault, not Arsenal. I just think it's almost the cheek of it to complain when that's what you've been doing for 18 months. I just think, oh, just leave me alone. Like, I know I do this on social media, so I have to expect a reaction and all that sort of stuff, but it just grinds my gears when I'm just like, mate, I bet you weren't an Arsenal fan when they were shit. I bet you weren't. Like, sorry, I'll stop banging on now, but it just.
It's fine. There is a lot of there's been a lot of Arsenal fans come out recently, haven't they? The aftermath, West Ham have reportedly lodged an official complaint with the PGMOL, arguing that any check taking nearly 5 minutes shouldn't meet the clear and obvious threshold for an overturn. Yeah, I mean, I haven't really got too much to say on that because you can complain all you want. There's fuck all you can do about it, and the PGML won't care. They'll issue an apology. Actually, that's just reminded me of something. I think I screenshotted a stat because I really wanted to bring it up. Bear with me. But while I find this, because I do think this has kind of taken away a fantastic finish from Callum Wilson, and I don't think he gets played enough.
Um, the problem is with Callum Wilson is the tank he's got. I love him coming on as a sub because I just think late stages of the game, I think he causes defenders problems. I, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't see them in training. I don't know who should be starting. I thought Tati did well yesterday. I thought Tati did really well. He pushed. He put the pressure on. David Raya did have to make an excellent save from his header. It's it's so difficult. And on the sorry, just on the PGMOL complaint, you see so many sarcastic bastards being like, "What do they need explaining? Foul is a foul." That's obviously not what they're going for. I mean, first of all, they were asking about the clear and obvious error thing, which you do understand because 5 minutes, it shouldn't take you 5 minutes to work out a clear and obvious error. But also, it's getting an explanation. And I'm sure the explanation isn't, it's a foul because of this. The explanation is going to be, why is this a foul when other things haven't been a foul? That's what they're asking for, you douchebags. They're not asking for, why is this a foul? That's what really frustrates me about some football fans is it's so surface level. And it's like, no, just shut up. I don't need your opinion right now. Just understand I'm pissed off. Like it's just oh cry, I love your tears and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, oh my God, just shut up and come back to me in 10 years when you're shit again. Please, just please. Oh, what I would do for them to bottle the league again, just purely for that percentage of idiots that come at me constantly.
Okay, so it's not a stat, but Arsenal won, Brighton nil. PGMOL ruled that Brighton should have been awarded a penalty just before half time. Brighton went on to lose. Arsenal 2, Chelsea 1. PGMOL ruled that VAR should have given a penalty. Should have given a penalty for Rice grabbing Hatter in the box. Chelsea go on to lose. Arsenal 1, Everton nil. Saliba fouls Barry in the box. VAR rules that not a penalty without consulting the referee. PGMOL later admits that it should have been given as a penalty. Everton lose, and then of course you've got this one today. Well, yesterday, sorry, and the headbutt on Haaland as well, which are not even named here. So I mean, these have signed this off with this is PGMOL's title, not Arsenal's. Like again, look, you're gonna get hate in the comments and whatever stuff like that. We don't care, but
I
you're
genuinely don't.
yeah, you're like you said, we are going to be slightly biased because you're a West Ham fan and I'm a Tottenham fan. So we do try and be as neutral as we can, but it's just shit in it. And like you say, it's not even really on Arsenal; it's on the referees and it's on them. And we've seen this inconsistency all season, and we're all just a bit fed up of it. I mean, how many times have we both, me and you, said this has been a fucking long season, a real, and not even just because we're down where we are, but it has been, and stuff like this doesn't help.
No, it does. It's just been such a long season. It feels like Arsenal have been fighting for this title forever. And look, I've given Arsenal their credit when they've deserved it. There's been a good few game weeks where my player of the game week has been an Arsenal player. I'm sure. I do try to stay as neutral as I possibly can. It's just it's more the reaction from Arsenal fans sometimes. If there's so many situations that I will turn around and go, we've been lucky there. Do you know what I mean? But it's this blindness to see what they have been doing. Do you know what I mean? It's like any possibility to not understand your point. Do you know what I mean? It's like, no, you have been doing that in corners. You created this absolute nightmare that is the WWE ring. It's like a fucking Royal Rumble every single time there's a corner. You created this, and you can't argue it. There's no argument to be had. It's that blind, like, foot foul's a foul. And it's just like, this is why some people find your fan base unbearable as a fan base. There are obviously good ones, of course there are, but sometimes that just sit there and go, do you know what? I'd feel hard done by if that was us. If we lost the title because of that, I'd feel hard done by. Just sit there and say that, like a lot of measured football fans can do, because that, oh, cry, I just want to drink your tears, all that sort of stuff. It's just rage bait. That's all it is. And it's what, my year sixes at my primary school do. Do you know what I mean? It's just so childish and I just don't respect it at all. Come to me constructively, absolutely fine. But I try to be as neutral as I can. I really do. But those things you just told me are not surprising in the slightest. Not surprising in the slightest. And sometimes you have to just accept when your luck's in, don't you?
Absolutely, absolutely. We are going to have to wrap this up to be fair because we are going way over.
Sorry.
No, no, it's fine. I just wanted to quickly mention, because I forgot to mention it at the start, Crystal Palace have become the first club to offer an aftercare programme for released players that don't have a future in football. The 3-year aftercare package will support released academy players in making a way for life outside of football. Fair play, Crystal Palace, and this is something that every club should start looking at doing, and it's well overdue, to be honest with you. Too many academy kids just wasted. Grace, give me your player of the week.
Oh, that's an excellent question. Um, you give me yours because I haven't fully decided yet.
Well, I think I mentioned it earlier on, but I'm going to have to go for Jeremy Doku this week. Fantastic goal. It kick-started Man City in the second half. Again, for the last few weeks, to be fair, he's been quality. Did he score two last week as well? I think, did he, Doku?
Yeah, I think so.
But yeah, I think he's been fantastic. Again, creative spark for Man City. It's hard with Man City as well because you find that you get in the squad and then you have a run of games and then you drop to the bench and then you're in again and you're out. So it's hard to get a bit of momentum going. But yeah, he was fantastic this week. Very, very good goal. And yeah, it kick-started Man City's second half.
I can't disagree with you. I probably would have gone for Doku myself had you not. I am going for it's a tough one this week. I'm going for Ryan for the Bournemouth game. I think that was a really important game where Bournemouth could have so easily slipped up. And I just think he scored a really important goal for them. He's been really good this season. And I really liked the goal as well. And that is my reasoning.
Game of the week.
Game of the week, I am going to go for Crystal Palace Everton, I think. 2-2.
So I went something similar. I went for Burnley 2, Villa 2. I just thought I loved it. Really good game. It was two very different styles of football, and it just went very well together. Um, yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. I also want to bring up very, very quickly in the last podcast, I think we mentioned it live during the recording. Grace called me wild for shouting that PSG would only score one goal. And I haven't forgotten, Grace. Of course, I'm bringing it back up. What was the result of that game, or how many goals did PSG score? One. Okay. Hang on. Grace, thank you for.
Look, I'll sit here and admit when I'm wrong. I will always do that, Matty. That is the thing, is I will sit here and say when I'm wrong. And I thought PSG were sublime at controlling that game the other night.
Yeah, just like I thought, Arsenal did very, very well against West Ham yesterday. Yeah, we've got to wrap it up there before Grace kills me. Grace, it's been enjoyable listening to your rant because usually it's me. So usually it's me ranting about Tottenham. So it's nice to be relaxed. Really quickly, what's your predictions for tonight? Tottenham Leeds.
Uh, oh, I'm gonna go 1-1. I don't know. I've lost all will to live.
Okay, I mean I'm going to go 3-1 Tottenham because we need it. And also, real quickly, Hull Millwall.
Oh, both the playoff semi-finals. Yeah, I love the whole representation today. Both the playoff semi-finals, first legs ended 0-0, didn't they? Hull Millwall. This is at Millwall, isn't it? I think this might be a push too far for Hull. I think Millwall will nick it. I'm gonna go 1-0 Millwall.
Interesting because we have been better away from home. But yeah, that's fair
Oh,
enough.
okay.
Grace, it's been absolutely fantastic doing this podcast with you again. Really great to listen to your rant. If you haven't followed us, make sure you do that. Like, follow, subscribe, do whatever you need to do on whatever platform you're listening. Grace, thank you so much, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week.